Hey up, Snow Vortex, and I wanted to do a video talking about painting and the role of the artist. I was also thinking of doing a video about trying to do like an artist statement on the fly, which is always gonna be a challenge for an artist, but I decided no, well maybe I'll leave that to another day. So I'm in my studio at the minute. Like and subscribe by the way if you like art, painting content. Most of the vlogs now are going to be about painting and philosophy, art and etc. I'm a bit knackered. Apologies if my speech is a bit slurred. I've got a headache. I had a paracetamol. But I wanted to talk about painting and being a painter in the 21st century. And the role of painting, how the role of what an artist, the painter is, has changed over time. I think the modern conception of a painter, and by this I mean the modern age, it's the 20th century rather more than 21st, which I'd consider the contemporary age. Modern painter, it was more, art was seen as a personal expression of the artist's, soul, in a world, whatever. I think that conception somewhat changed in the contemporary age. It's seen, in the ancient world, actually, I think, sorry, just to jump back on something else, I think art was probably seen more as a profession. It wasn't seen as much, being a painter, actually, specifically. Let me just talk about paintings, actually. I'm not going to talk about all of art, because that's just too big a subject. But I think all of painting was seen as a profession. Like, and painters, primarily, where they got most of their money from, most of their income from, was commissions, like painting religious figures, authority figures, portraits of middle-class patrons, etc., etc. That was the way it was for a long time. The church is probably one of the biggest patrons of the arts for a long time. Religion in general, not just the Christian church, obviously. But yeah, that was a huge cultural force in painters' lives. The church. Now it's a very different age, especially for painting. I mean, if you look at something like the development of like this AI art now, which automates away in a lot of ways, potentially the creation of visual art and visual imagery. I don't think it will ever replace painting, but in terms of just creating images, it can more or less do what traditional and modernist artists did anyway. So, let me just go into why do I paint? It's quite a big question. Won't be able to answer it in this form video, but I paint because I have a feeling of having an inner world within me. Now, this is going to sound quite strange, but my mind has this other world that it can visit in some respects. Now, if you haven't completely lost touch with your self, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the imagination. I'm talking about the imagination. And it probably sounds twee and almost like ridiculous and absurd to some people, possibly even some artists, but I believe the imagination is, you could probably say it's like the collective unconscious or something, but I think it's a very important factor in art, I think it is a extremely important repository of imagery in art. So, we're all working for our imagination one way or the other. Doesn't matter what sort of art you're doing. If you're a musician, painter, just how are you not working for the imagination? It's like, that's where you're working for. My work's in an interesting phase at the minute. Like, I'm consolidating a lot of work I've been this is portrait behind the last man, so I'm doing a lot of figurative works. This is an experimental large portrait. I'm just working on this at the minute, which is not finished, but I'm also working on this, sort of combining what I was doing with abstracted landscape / city scenes with the new figurative style that I've got, which is emerging. You see some more works there, I guess. But yeah, I'm quite tired. I'll leave it there. I'm going to do a quick vlog just with a few thoughts, but I'm really tired now, so I'm going to leave it for now. But yeah, what do you think? Where do you see the role of the artist? I'll probably redo this video and expand on it, but